Well, hello, NFT NYC community. I am excited to once again bring another conversation with one of our incredible speakers and an innovator in our industry. And the things that are happening right now, specific to real estate, are quite intriguing. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself and on-chain listings and tell us a bit about what you and your team are working on. And then I'll hit you with a few questions to learn more from you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ian. My name is Tory Ricalis. I'm a real estate developer and construction manager with deep passion for Web3 and NFTs. I bring 15 years of experience in managing and executing large-scale projects, upwards of $500 million in the real estate space. I've been involved in the blockchain area since about 2011. My first investment into Bitcoin was at that time. And since then, I've progressed deeply into the Web3 space with a huge passion for NFTs and their applications. Really probably been involved since about 2017 in that aspect. And I am the co-founder and CEO of On-Chain Listings. And we are basically what we're trying to do is bridge the world of Web2 to Web3, and we're bringing title transfer on-chain.
When I was talking with Ori, your co-founder, and if people want to hear that conversation, pretty easy to find on the NFT NYC channels. One thing that he mentioned is this technology, of course, is inevitable. Title companies are in big trouble. Anybody that's a middleman in any industry, especially real estate, which is one of the most archaic, old, mafia-driven, wacky, weird environments of all time, almost impossible to innovate. Yet your team has had some success in that. And when I was asking Ori, who benefits most, just right now, not in the future, but right this very second, is the buyer or the seller? Maybe you could give some insight on that from your perspective, and then we can talk a bit more about the problem that really needs to be solved and how your team is attacking that problem.
Absolutely. So from our perspective, we believe that the buyer and seller would both, have massive benefits to this process. The seller obviously putting their title on chain and all their data on chain allows a buyer or purchaser to look at it, make sure, okay, hey, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. So I believe that buyer and seller both benefit tremendously from this application.
And when you think about where things are going, right, there's this massive problem. It's not just residential real estate. It's everything having to do with land ownership, building ownership, whether permanent or temporary. Anytime there's a middleman involved, the title company, a broker, a real estate agent, a brand of some sort, and they want to kind of get in and slow things down and make it cost more. This is the very thing that on-chain listings and your peer companies that will be doing similar types of things over the coming decade are trying to provide value to. Can you tell us a bit about where do you see this going? Where do you see your company going? What type of things are you envisioning and excited about?
Yeah, absolutely. And so the big thing, as you mentioned, is the intermediaries and how many hands are involved in the process. So what we're trying to do with on-chain listings is really streamline that. And we are using NFT smart contracts to do a lot of the automation, scan through documents, talk to other jurisdictions and various, title registries and whatnot. So it makes the process much easier. Essentially, on-chain listings basically acts as a portal. You're able to, as a title lawyer, a broker, a buyer, or seller, you're able to log into our portal. And I could hypothetically be on a beach as a title lawyer and really have on-chain listings do majority of that transaction. I log on, I authenticate the transaction as proof of work, essentially, and there I go. I can essentially do 10 to 20 of those in a day as opposed to 2 to 5. So that obviously is a huge proponent of what we're trying to do here and what we're trying to push.
Talk to me about recruiting talent in this environment, whether it's your initial co-founders or more relevant as you build out your team. There's a lot of things that people would need to learn if they came to you from the real estate market about Web3. There's a lot of things that people need to learn if they came from the NFT market about real estate. So how are you finding the right talent, whether it's in-house employees or contractors or strategic partners? How are you sourcing the right people to work with in this? Because you're bringing a couple new things together that really haven't been done well up to this point.
Yeah, that's a great question, Ian, and I'm glad you brought that up. Ori and I started this approximately 2 years ago. We'd gone off on our own. We'd been approached by a couple developers in various countries, El Salvador being one, Cayman Islands being another, and then a few other Caribbean countries. And unfortunately, due to the old archaic prehistoric Roman code where they both had to be present, shake your hands,
Right.
lawyers had to be there, notaries have to be there, rubber stamp everything. We were unable to do that in those jurisdictions. So Ori and I regrouped. We brought on a few partners that are actually big in the prop tech space. We have a fellow founder, Neil Kowali, CEO of HouseKey and globalcondos.com. And then we brought on a title lawyer who has some familiarity with the Web3 space, and that is Adam Yormak of Alligator Title, Bronco Title, and Yormak Law out of Miami. So Ori and I were struggling essentially to kind of put the intricacies together in order to make this work. And obviously bringing on a title lawyer with Web3 experience and great mind, it's really helped us batten down the hatches in terms of the process and understanding exactly what needs to be done and how we can, make this process a better place for everyone.
Are there any residential, commercial real estate projects that you would not want to tackle? Like, is there a limit to what you're looking for? And I ask that because, I can imagine one of the largest, if not the largest companies in, at least our nation, Realogy, right? They own the 5 biggest real estate brands. I can imagine they find out about you and they go, hey, we want you to do this for all 5 of our brands and everything that we have cooking. Or I could see somebody like Tricon Residential, right? They own 37,000 homes and that they rent out. I could see them saying, gosh, we're constantly buying and selling homes that we can rent, having your technology. So are you open to working with massive institutions around digital real estate, physical commercial real estate, physical residential real estate listings? Or are you kind of looking at the one-off or the individual brokers and kind of doing bite-sized projects right now? Because if you're clear about what you want in terms of inbound interest, then ideally that'll be what you get.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad you asked that as well, Ian. So what we're focused on right now, our main focus is OCL, is pre-construction condos in the Miami-Dade County region. The reason being, it's a lot easier to start off with a clean title right off the hop and make that title immutable through the whole lifespan of that, that residential condo. So we're looking at taking on large scale projects, 500 units, 1,000 units, 1,500 units, and deal with the large scale developers as well as the large realtor houses. Anyone that is involved in the pre-construction sales of condos and development of condos is definitely people that we'd like to speak with, as well as asset managers and asset buyers. Absolutely, those partnerships would definitely make sense for us.
And how about for the individual that wants to sell their home or wants to buy a home? Is there opportunity for them to participate in this right now? If there is, there's certain states that this is working in, like Florida right now, that if you're a Florida homeowner, you're ready to sell, you should look into what we're doing. If you're a Florida buyer looking to acquire your first or another residential piece of property, you should look into what we have cooking. So maybe you can give some idea about where things are at. And then as we wrap, I'll ask you to tell us a bit about what you're working on in terms of expansion.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, obviously our main focus to start is the pre-construction aspect of things, but no, we're definitely interested in helping the one-off buyers and sellers. We want to onboard as many people into the Web3 space as possible, as we truly believe in blockchain technology. We believe in the security aspect of it, obviously the immutable ledger and just the transparency, as there's not enough in real estate or a real estate transaction right now. So no, definitely that is a focus of ours as well. And to be honest with you, after our first initial pre-construction condo, we will go into some single units and we will progress that way as well.
And where's this all going? Cast a vision that inspires people to, think through how they can, if nothing else, be a cheerleader for on-chain listings and maybe engage with it. But where's all this leading us to? Why does this matter? Why is this a worthy pursuit of your, Ori, and your team's time?
Yeah, no, we believe that it is a worthy pursuit from not only an environmental standpoint, an entry barrier standpoint. I mean, why should someone attempting to purchase the largest investment of their life or sell the largest investment of their life have to break off so many pieces of the pie to so many intermediaries who really don't do much, Ian?
Right.
And I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be, bash anyone or anything for that nature, but it's redundant. There's just way too much meat on the bone.
Right.
And it's a process that kind of goes like a snake almost, as opposed to
On
a
purpose.
circle. Exactly, on purpose. So
Right.
our goal is just to make everything easier. I mean, I purchased my home approximately 3.5 years ago. My hand still hurts from the amount of documentation I had to sign.
It's
So
wild. I mean, you walk in and they have a stack of papers like this, and then you realize how slow the process is, how expensive the process is for the buyer and the seller. I've always been saying, I mean, I started doing these future of blockchain, future of AI type events 2017. And this has been a consistent drum I've been beating. I said, for sure, everything around real estate will be transformed by distributed ledger technologies, whether that's smart contracts or whatever it ends up being. This is going to happen because it's a very archaic system that has some government overreach, but it really just has massive association overreach. And it is impacting the end consumer in a way that as soon as a better alternative comes, it will be well received. And that's our hope for on-chain listings, is that you are well received in the market, that you thrive, that you set a tone of what's possible in this industry, really, with real estate. And so I thank you for jumping in and joining me. And of course, look forward to having you share very, very soon. But thank you for being here with me, my friend.
thank you, Ian. Really appreciate the questions. And again, always a pleasure.
Of course. I'm going to share my screen one last time for all the party people out there. Everybody, 5:15 p.m. on Friday on the Future Stage, NFTs to transform real estate and beyond. It will be Tory, his business partner, Ori, and a few others. Don't miss it. And let me say thank you for your attention. I may not be back again for another one of these. Tory, you are my last that I scheduled. I think I knocked out about 30 of these bad boys in the last 4 days. So I'll be back with another conversation at some point. I just don't know when. And until then,